Shout out to iPhoenix for sending me this, and dear God, I don't know why y'all do this. Look, y'all can look me up on Discord if y'all want to debate something. Go right ahead here. I'm not really doing too much anyway. But with that being said, here let's actually talk about this. Really, out of all the characters you used to say to you solo a Transformers verse, Superman, I ain't gonna lie, y'all had a better argument, or at least somewhat of a more entertaining argument, with the likes of Sauron and the likes of Gandalf, which is pretty interesting as it is. But with that being said here, obviously, you know how we do on this page with evidence, and we give credit where credit is due. Starting off with the DC cosmology. Now, I would hate to say this, albeit I guess I really don't because I've done this before. Yet DC's cosmology is a lot smaller than the likes of Transformers. Now, this is because of Dark Crisis Big Bang kind of just adding on to it. So, to start off with the size of the universes in DC, there are a infinite number. Okay, hear what I'm saying? There's an infinite number of Earths. However, they are all finite in size, which does make sense. Now, it's explained in DC that, the multiverse itself is a interesting, or at least a multi-dimensional construct, okay? So 6D to possibly, if I remember correctly, or probably the Elvis is just going to show up on here, 11D. And again, this is dimensional brand space that I'm talking about here. Now, the DC multiverse does have a couple things here, such as the bleed. Then we also have the other higher dimensions, like the oversphere, the monitor's realm, and the sixth dimension, which is supposed to be beyond the likes of imagination, right? So, Superman scales to this. All right, he's one of the more powerful beings in the DC roster in general. Even being able to fight against characters like Black Adam, who's actually been able to harm, or at least harm, entities from the Great Darkness itself here. Now, keep in mind there are some context to Superman feats here, but again, we are going to use the more consistent ones. You can easily get Superman to Universal at bare minimum. And if you want to argue high Universal, keep in mind this does kind of come with compositization and ignoring a lot of the stuff with his feats here. Superman's been able to harm characters like Martian Manhunter, Phantom Stranger, the Spectre, Wonder Woman, and even the likes of Darkseid. Even being able to take attacks from a weakened true form Darkseid, who was able to one-shot the Quintessence. But again, he was weakened. Not sure to how much of a significant portion he was weakened, but we have that. Then we have the likes of the bleed. He would also scale to the bleed, being the membrane between all universes and kind of encompassing the multiverse itself, if you get what I mean. But with that being said here, the Transformers Omniverse is just a lot bigger. For starters, the Omniverse is made up of many infinite and many infinitely expanding multiverses, each labeled by their continuities. And to be kind of honest, you guys know I've done this way too many times here. If you're new to the page, then come down to my channel. I have an updated version of the Transformers cosmology where you would get everything for it. But keep in mind, the Omniverse itself is a high universal construct filled with many other continuities, but with the most common ones portrayed in the Transformers mythos or the Transformers cosmology being Dungeons and Dragons and the Cthulhu mythos, with realms beyond the concepts of imagination, reverse temporal worlds, and even above the concept of mathematics and stuff like that. And keep in mind, the Omniverse itself is the lowest part of the Tree of Life, with each other part here transcending it by a large, significant amount. Basically, it transcends the Omniverse so much that it becomes irrelevant. Essentially, you could honestly say it, even though I don't really like using that kind of scaling, you can get the Transformers cosmology to boundless, if you will, which is not hard considering the fact that they can transcend the comic and kind of just leave it all together to interact with the real world. So with that being said here, you have a pretty good set here for, both cosmologies, right? So just kind of give y'all an understanding that I do understand both, right? Now, with that being said here, I think Superman is powerful, yes. He can 50-50 beat the likes of IDW Optimus. Again, 50-50. I just think Optimus has better hacks, better appliances, and overall just better combat prowess altogether, right? And again, I would say Superman is faster, okay? Definitely. But a composite Optimus Prime. I'm gonna be real. I already know you don't know. It's kind of clear. Look, no insults, no shade, but it's kind of obvious you don't know what a composite Optimus Prime would do to Superman. But I'm just going to use one version today, and that's going to be the Arisen, or the Risen Prime. The Star Optimus Prime, if you will. So, let's actually talk about this one real quick. So, Star Optimus, or the Arisen Optimus, is an upgraded version of Star Convoy, who wields the Scepter of Sparks, a prime artifact that channels the power of all of his siblings. So, keep in mind, this means Optimus has access to not only the 13 original primes, but the other 4 members of the Guiding Hand. Okay? So, keep in mind, he has the power of all of these deities. These guys are all higher dimensional beings, platonic concepts, and he is also more powerful than their true forms, which are omnipresent beings. Keep in mind, this puts him above every Unicron and Primus avatar, even the stronger ones like the Japanese G1 version, and even the one that was actually capable of tearing apart the comic itself, eating its own narrative like it was nothing, and attack the author. Okay? So already, we have a character that has way too many powers and abilities for Superman to even handle, at a much higher level as well, and would possibly, I could argue, definitely faster than Superman as well, considering the fact that he would have a omnipresent level of speed, right? And then he would also have narrative hacks, because again, he possesses the powers and abilities of every deity in this cosmology. So this means that he could easily siphon Superman's energy like Micronus Prime, or he can inflict a higher level of death like Mortalus, and even use that to corrupt him. Or he could use the Void Scepter in combination with Raceling and erase Superman on every level possible. But Superman's resistant to erase your existence. No, he is not. Nah. That's obviously not the case anymore. Dr. Manhattan erased him and the New 52 verse just so that it wouldn't have his influence anymore. Basically restarting and putting everything back together, right? Then we also have Pariah, who erased all of them from existence again, right? And put them in a different dimension. I find that very crazy. And keep in mind as well, with this version of Optimus, him being above every other one, him being able to use all the abilities of not only his other, variants, but the primes as well, he could attack Superman at various points in time, simultaneously, mind you. He can attack the past, present, and future versions of Superman at the same time. So that means he could choose any point in time and just attack him. And then there's the gold power where he could just summon other versions of himself that are just as strong as an alternity. And he can just watch Superman get whooped like it's absolutely nothing. But I am going to leave it here. Like I said, if you want to run or contest it, you can just look me up on Discord. Type in Legendary Grimlock. Go ahead and send me a text and I'll be happy to answer it. But y'all have a blessed day. Peace.